This is probably one of the last bike rides that Lily and I go on before we move to Texas. I thought it would be fun to record our ride and just talk about some of the notable locations in Milton, things we didn't like about it here, restaurants we like, parks we visit, and just give a general tour of this small city we've lived in for almost a year now. We're going to start off by rolling through this intersection. If you couldn't tell by some of my other videos, I like to run and bike a lot, and crossing this intersection can be pretty scary because the cars go very fast and the intersection is so wide. Whenever I cross it, I have to mentally remind myself to be on high alert because there's been many times where people and cars forget to stop and let pedestrians cross. There's been plenty of times where someone pulls out into the crosswalk when they're trying to turn right on red and they almost hit me. You may think I'm exaggerating how dangerous this intersection is, but Lily and I agreed that in less than a year of living by this intersection, we've probably seen around a dozen major and minor crashes at this spot. You can see here in this next video that this crash was pretty bad. I only heard and didn't see this crash, but from this drone footage, you can see that the SUV hopped right over the curve and went straight through the spot where any pedestrians waiting to cross would have been standing. I could tell this because the next day I saw a small pole bent over from where the SUV had hit it. I see a lot of people walking by this area, and it's really scary to think that had anyone been standing at this spot during the crash, they would have been seriously injured or worse. Next we have Milton's Main Street, where Lily and I stopped for lunch. The food is good here, but I really love the atmosphere of this little mom and pop pizza restaurant. It feels really nostalgic and cozy, like the local hangout you would see kids eat at in an old movie. I think the downtown area in Milton is really cool, and I hope it revitalizes. There are a few businesses on the main street, but it seems like half of the buildings are vacant or owned by real estate agents and lawyers. I think it would be really cool to see more businesses and shops move in, and maybe even close off the street to cars so that there could be more outdoor seating. As we cross over the Milton Bridge, you may be able to see that we pass by another person walking in the opposite direction. I'm grateful that there is a separate pedestrian walkway at all, but it is really narrow. It would be nice if we could either widen it or maybe even put in a larger pedestrian/bike bridge that leads to the next park we go and visit. I love this park. It's called Russell Harbor Landing Park. Lily and I came here weekly in the summer to cool off in the river. It gets packed here with people swimming, sunbathing, and having picnics. I also think that having a boat here in Milton would be really cool. There are so many boat ramps nearby, and it would be really fun to run around on the river and be able to dock the boat at the Milton Riverwalk. The Riverwalk in the park is also a favorite spot of ours. It's really beautiful and peaceful on the Riverwalk, and the weekly markets are great. We love being able to support local businesses and artists that set up shop here. We also love Bands on the Blackwater, which is a free outdoor concert that hosts local musicians and always brings in everyone from the community and a ton of food trucks. Little things like that are what makes Milton feel like a more unique place. This next area is one of my favorite things about where we currently live. It's the Blackwater Heritage State Trail. I really enjoy running long distances, and having a nice paved trail close by has been amazing. It's so nice to get to run out in nature and not have to hear loud cars pass or breathe in gas fumes. This path gets used so much by the entire community, whether it's runners, cyclists, rollerbladers, or just high schoolers on their way to class. I'm so grateful for the Milton Park Service people for maintaining this trail and providing water stops and servicing the bathrooms along the 9+ miles of paved path. I wish there were more trails like this close by. It would be so useful too if there were trails like this that run along Highway 90 from Milton to Pace. I think that would help clear up some of the congestion that gets really bad on that road. But on the upside, I have noticed that there is construction being done to put in a sidewalk on Highway 90. It's really the bare minimum, but at least it's progress. I do have one small criticism for the trail that I've mentioned in a previous video, and that is how the trail deals with its intersections with roads. For some reason, they put stop signs on the trail for the walkers, runners, and cyclists. It's really frustrating to use the trail and have to stop and start when running and cycling to yield for cars. Momentum is key, especially on a bike, and having to stop and start gets really annoying. Maybe you could argue that it is also annoying to have to stop and start in a car, but at least when you're in a car, you don't have to physically exert yourself to press the brake pedal. Most of the time, these cars always have to stop at the stop sign or stoplight that's just a few feet down the road too, so they have to stop anyways. I think this is a good example of how we prioritize cars over people, even when we do have good infrastructure for pedestrians and cyclists. That's pretty much it for the ride. There's many other locations in Milton that we didn't get a chance to ride past on our farewell ride, so I'll just mention them really quickly with some pictures and videos. The skating rink was cute and gave us something different to do on a few of our simple date nights. Another really cool thing that is worth an afternoon if you're into this sort of thing is going to the Milton Railroad Museum. I found this place fascinating. I thought it was really hard to believe that up until the 1970s they had regular passenger service that ran from Milton to Pensacola. It's a little sad comparing what they used to have 50 years ago to what we have today, considering that there's zero public transportation options that will take you from Milton to Pensacola. But if you feel like walking through some trains and learning a little history for free, definitely check it out. I think my overall takeaway from this video is there's so much interesting things right outside your doorstep if you're willing to go out and find them. I've lived in Milton for about 2 years, but it wasn't until I moved to my new apartment that's closer to the downtown when I finally discovered some of these really cool places that I never noticed before when I would just drive by them in my car. I hope that if I ever come back here in the future, I'll see some improvements on the things that we didn't like. But either way, I think we're really going to miss Milton.